So we've got some new leaked information on Star Fox for the Nintendo Switch 2 that we're going to be going over, in addition to a number of things that I kind of want to talk about when it comes to people discussing the sales potential or what Star Fox should be when it comes to a new reveal and a new game on Nintendo's newest system with the Nintendo Switch 2. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Let's start off with the new leaked information. Shoutouts to Andy Robinson over at the VGC podcast, and my man Stealth, he had the beat on this one talking about it, and they discussed the rumored Star Fox game, and they said this, quote, "The thing that was said to me was, the game is really funny, which suggests perhaps the writing is a focus." Now, this is something, if you've never played Star Fox games before, Star Fox has very interesting writing. Like, it's always been a game where it was unique in the sense that the pilots in the game would always communicate with one another based off what was going on. Sometimes they would crack jokes, sometimes they would say different things, sometimes there was humor packed into there with Slippy, and obviously you have the iconic do a barrel roll. There has always been iconic, funny, and interesting moments when it comes to Star Fox dialogue between all of the castmates. So to me at this point, if you're making a brand new game, yeah, writing would absolutely need to be part of the focus, because it was actually a pretty good part of the focus as well with previous games. Now, it was scripted writing, and of course they would say the same thing based off of the level every single time, and depending on if you hit them accidentally or what happens to them, there's different audio cues and different types of lines that go on. And there's actually quite a bit if you're talking about like Star Fox 64, depending on what path you take and what you're doing. So to me, writing definitely should be a focus and will be a focus with this new one. So I think that's something that would be very cool, and I can't wait to see what they do. And we're going to talk about how that writing is going to be a focus based off of another thing that is a big boost that I think will be to the next Star Fox game. But when can we see the reveal? Well, according to Nate the Hate, he is stating that it might be happening this month in April. So we'll see if it happens. Not at this point, probably no later than June. But I think that the reveal for Star Fox obviously needs to be something that's really cool, and I think that they need to show enough to get people excited. But once again, you have the Mario movie, which I won't spoil when it comes to the Star Fox parts, but Star Fox was a pretty good part in that movie. There was a lot of things that Star Fox kind of came into the focus there, and that was shown, that I feel is going to be beneficial for it. So we'll talk about that in just a bit. So the reveal, I think, should happen this month. If not this month, probably, like I said, no later than June or so. Nintendo has to have a direct at some point to go over the second half lineup. We know games up until Yoshi in May, so I'm guessing that they're going to have a slate of different announcements and release dates for games like Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave, in addition to Splatoon Raiders, this new Star Fox game. So there's quite a number of things that they have to go over, in addition to the second half slate of big third-party games as well. So I'm expecting that Star Fox reveal within the next month or so. Now let's talk about another thing that seems to be one of the big points that get brought up all the time, is that, well, Star Fox needs to do something different. It needs to be like a third-person shooter with Fox, like it's Mass Effect Commander Fox Shepard or something like that, because people don't want to play on Rails games, or they don't want to pay 80 or 70 or 60 for on Rails games. And I think that that's just kind of nonsense. And the reason why I say that's kind of nonsense, not that people don't have valid concerns, but it's kind of nonsense because the problem with it is that we don't see a lot of high quality or high end rail shooters. People always point back to Star Fox Zero, and they point back to Star Fox Assault and say, oh, well, look at those games. Those games were on Rails and people didn't buy them. But it wasn't because those games were on Rails. It was because fans felt and the reviews for those games were lackluster. Star Fox Assault had some issues when it comes to just the overall install base on the GameCube, and the tone shift, maybe what people felt from Star Fox 64 to Star Fox Assault, and it mirrored in the reviews, where Star Fox 64 reviewed incredibly well and is regarded as one of the better video games of all time, especially for the N64 era. Star Fox Assault is not looked at when it comes to GameCube games as a top 10, top 20 type of game, whereas Star Fox 64 is, and even Star Fox on the Super Nintendo is looked at one of the most iconic games. So I do think that that was more of the issue, was the reviews slamming the game and people not buying it. Same thing goes for Star Fox Zero. The reviews for the game were absolutely terrible. The install base of the Wii U was terrible. So that's the reason why that the game didn't sell. Not because people didn't want an on-rails game. People were excited for Star Fox when it was announced back on the Wii U, but the problem was, like I talked about, the reviews, some of the controls for people, just a variety of different things. Even look at like Star Fox Command for the Nintendo DS. Once again, reviews not great, and people are looking at the DS and saying, well, wait a minute, that's not the type of Star Fox that I want to play. I want a console, bigger Star Fox type of game. So there were issues with pretty much every single Star Fox game that released afterwards. It had nothing to do with the game being on rails, and nobody will pay for an on-rails game. I don't believe in any of that, just because, once again, it was more of the reviews and the perception that was happening with these games more so than anything. If one of these Star Fox games, like let's just say Star Fox Assault on the GameCube, was rated like a 90 or high 80s and people felt that it was really good at the time, even though Star Fox Assault is a great game, it would have sold way better. Same thing goes for Star Fox Zero on the Wii U. If that game reviewed really good, like as good as like let's just say Super Mario 3D World or something like that, it would have sold well over 1 million units, and it would have been one of the better selling titles on a platform with the Wii U that had a select number of good games, but people were chomping at the bit to buy games on that system because third parties essentially abandoned it after the first number of months. So I do think that when people say on rails can't sell and point back to some of those games, I'm like, that's not it. We need to get back to what really makes Star Fox Star Fox, and this is my next point, is that get back to the basics. What made Star Fox great when it comes to it was the graphics. That was one thing from the original Star Fox. It was a very impressive looking game, and Nate the Hate is stating that this game apparently looks really good. So check that off. If that is true, what he's saying here, and Star Fox does come out and it looks incredible, that is something that they need to do. I think it's very important because Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, which sold I think nearly 3 million units plus, one of the better selling Super Nintendo games, especially back then, that sold great, that reviewed great, that looked great, and that was the basis of even why Star Fox was a thing. And then you go to Star Fox 64, I mean, they stopped making a Zelda game to put staff on Star Fox. So that's another thing. They're like, man, Star Fox is super important, and they dedicated a lot of good time and resources to it, and you can see in the game, Star Fox 64 looked incredible for its time, and it's actually still very playable and looks good to this day. Yes, a bit blocky here and there, but it still looks very smooth and plays fantastic. So that was also a big graphics game, but with that game, multiplayer came into focus. Now, we didn't have online at that time, but the multiplayer, when it comes to 4 players, local, and all of that, that was incredible. So it had the great graphics, it had the multiplayer, and the third pillar is incredible controls. You really can't mess the controls up. And the previous Star Fox games, Star Fox Assault, not so much, but Star Fox Command and Star Fox Zero had some interesting things with the controls that not everybody loved. Now, some people did like it, and that's fine if you did. I'm not here to hate on those games, but I feel that making sure that it plays great on a standard controller with no weird gimmicks that are standard or anything like that. Maybe it's optional, like let's say mouse controls, which that wouldn't be a bad thing. That'd actually be a good thing. I'm expecting them to do that. But gyro or mouse controls on top of having regular analog controls, that's probably the best bet for Star Fox. If you give very good control options, and then you also pair that with fantastic graphics and great multiplayer, which Nate also states that there is going to be online multiplayer for this game, that is the recipe that Star Fox needs. Fantastic graphics, great multiplayer, great controls. Those are the ingredients to make sure that Star Fox is incredible. That's what Star Fox on the Super Nintendo did, minus the multiplayer, but that's what Star Fox 64, which is pretty much the pinnacle of the franchise that many people feel that way. Star Fox 64 did all that. Phenomenal controls, great multiplayer, great graphics. And then I would say when it comes to the actual game itself, obviously having multiple different paths, having replay value, having fun boss fights, those are all things that's a given when it comes to Star Fox to make the game really good. So we already know about that. But those 3 core pillars are what makes Star Fox incredible. And I think that sometimes the games after Star Fox 64 got away from some of that. So those are the things that I think that this new Star Fox game is going to have. But I'll also end on this when it comes to it. The Mario movie is going to be huge for this Star Fox game. This Star Fox game has to deliver because there are so many new kids and different people that are probably getting their first taste of even who Star Fox is. They maybe know him from Super Smash Brothers and say, okay, it's the Fox guy that's fast and can fight and punches and kicks you really hard. And yeah, that's great. But now he has his own game that's new on a system that you actually have, because Star Fox has not been relevant in quite some time. Star Fox Zero came out about a decade ago now at this point, so it's been a while. So there's been kids that were pretty much born in this era and have no idea really who Star Fox is when it comes to his own games. So I think that movie showing off Star Fox and kind of how cool he was and his music that he has and what he does and how he's a pilot, and even the writing, which I alluded to this before, but even the writing and how Star Fox talked and how he acted in that, I think that can be a little bit of a sign of maybe what's to come when it comes to the Star Fox game on the Nintendo Switch 2. So I would expect some pretty funny and good writing. I would expect Fox to be very sleek, but also have a bit of a sense of humor. And I'd also expect it to be a very dynamic game that's going to have a multitude of lines, because you just can't follow this huge production of a movie with the Mario Galaxy movie and Fox and how he talks and how everything is in there, and then you have a static game that doesn't really go all in when it comes to the visuals and everything, because Fox just looks so cool in the movie. The animation, everything is so nice. And then to have a big game release and it's, hey, here's the new Star Fox game from this cool character, and it's just not that. It looks like Star Fox Zero or like barely better than that. I think that would be a huge problem for the success of Star Fox going forward. So I think that the Mario movie was huge introducing this character, and I think it's going to play a big part in this game, kind of getting it back on track, getting this franchise to be a better and bigger franchise for Nintendo, because it was in the Super Nintendo and N64 era. This was one of the best selling, one of the best rated franchises, and it's fell off so hard at this point. So if Star Fox can come back and come back great, I think that would just be great for everyone involved. And even if you're someone who maybe has just a little bit of experience with Star Fox, this could be a game that maybe gets you reinvigorated and gets you back into it. Now, Nate also talked about the game being a classic style Star Fox. So some people took that as it's just going to be just like Star Fox 64 or Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. And I don't think that's going to be the case completely. I think it's going to have some other modern things that they do in the game. I think it's going to have some other type of gameplay modes or unique stuff that they do within the level. I don't think it's just going to be a pure rail shooter the whole time. There's probably going to be some other stuff that they do, but I do think that just having an incredible rail shooter that is expanded upon and adds in new elements on top of it just being, once again, controlling, looking, and playing great, plus multiplayer in any type of way, maybe co-op campaign with different styles of missions, or even a deathmatch type of thing that you have, team matches that you can do, maybe 2-on-2 or 4-on-4. All of that would be great. If they can pack in all of that and make this a true good production of a game, that would make Star Fox just so good and sell significantly better than what it did. And I think that was the direction that Star Fox didn't go into. It went into other types of areas that just wasn't quite good enough to the pedigree of where Star Fox was, so people just stopped caring about it, and the reviews started marking it significantly lower than what we got before. I also think Star Fox Adventures, that not truly taking off as well, and what it was before with the whole dinosaur thing, I think that was also maybe a misstep as well. But it's a good game though. Star Fox Adventures is not a bad game or anything like that, but I do think that's kind of where the things just started going downhill. And once again, putting it on the DS, that's not something that people were looking for. There was 3DS version of Star Fox 64, but we've already played Star Fox 64. It was on Wii Virtual Console. It was on Wii U Virtual Console. It's like we've played that multiple times, and then Star Fox Zero rehash again when it comes to Star Fox 64, but just like a reimagining remake thingy of Star Fox 64. So it's just like enough is enough. We need to kind of move it forward. We need to see what it did. We need to go beyond what we've had, and it just never really did that. So I think that this game has a prime opportunity, has a prime chance to do that, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good, but we're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. I just hope that all the rumors so far when it comes to Star Fox on the Switch 2 is correct, and we see it maybe this month. If we can see it this month, they show us and maybe give us some more details later in the summer and get us like another trailer and more information at like a Nintendo Direct, that would be ideal for Star Fox. You don't want to wait too long because the movie is fresh in people's minds, so you want to strike while the iron is hot, and right now the Star Fox iron is blazing. So I'm hoping that Nintendo does strike with something soon here, kind of give us some type of new reveal for Star Fox this month. But we'll see what they do. They can also wait till June or wait till whenever they have their next Nintendo Direct. So what do you guys think when it comes to Star Fox and my theory on what's happening here with this game and the new information? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.